Hello and welcome to the Daily Lawyer podcast. My name is Jenna Krishnan. I'm your host and also the founder of the Daily Lawyer. Every episode that I record, I always think is like the most interesting one that I've done because I've realized that I love podcasting. But in today's Careers in the Law episode, I think that our guest is really like the perfect sort of representation of careers in the law to me. I'm speaking about Mr. Ramanuj Mukherjee, who is the co-founder and CEO of Law Sikho, which I don't think needs much of an introduction, but for those of you who don't know, is an online learning platform for law courses. He's also the co-founder and CEO of iPleaders blog, which is clearly among the most popular blogs that are there out in the world when it comes to legal information. And also the founder of Superlawyer, which is another like a website that features a bunch of legal professionals across the world in various legal streams. And because he does so much, he works a lot with students, not just in India, but across geographies. He also is very much involved in placements and placing them in various sort of roles within the legal industry. So this is why I believe that he is a perfect sort of representation of careers in the law hashtag for us. So Ramanuj, thank you. Welcome to the Daily Lawyer and thank you for giving me your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on the Daily Lawyer. I'm very excited to be here and speaking to everyone. Hi, everyone.
Hi. Okay, Ramanuj, you have a very interesting, unconventional career path, okay? Because I don't know how you even thought of this. So I want to really know, take me back to your law student days, or rather when you were a law student. And from then, why did you first choose law? How did you come up to doing something like this, which was because we are more or less contemporaries in the time that, so I know that this is a very unusual and unconventional career path that you've taken. So tell me about, take me back and then tell me your story.
Sure. So it actually started when I was around 14 years old. And I mean, generally my parents and the environment I was in, it was like a small town in West Bengal near Calcutta back then in 1996, let's say. So things were like that. Everybody who's a little decent in studies will become an engineer or a doctor, right? And my parents also were telling me the same, that you have to do this. I think in the beginning I wanted to be a footballer and I used to play good football, and but then they literally like sabotaged my football career, so to speak, so that I could so that I would focus on studies, right? So that's the thing: study, become an engineer or a doctor. And I think from my school, I guess at least half of the science batch went into engineering, maybe a couple of people went into medicine. And my idea, like, I was obviously destined for that only, like, that was I had started preparing also. I wanted to go into medicine. I think when I was 14-year-old, there was a roadside violence incident. So basically, somebody came and hit my bicycle with a bike. And I fell down, then I got up and I screamed at him. He just walked up to me and slapped me and multiple times. And initially, I was like, what the hell? The world is fair,
Oh, yeah,
justice, all of that.
yeah.
But I realized that it's not there. It's very interesting. I knew the nickname of this guy. I didn't know him who he is. So I went and complained to my father. Half of me was expecting that on the road there are other people, they'll come and stop him or something. Nobody did anything. Nobody does anything. So then I went and told my father. My father said, "Oh, that guy, I know him." So, and then he took me to a club. A club is like, in West Bengal, it's not there in Delhi, for example, but in West Bengal, it's like local community centers where people come and plays games, or it's like the local nerve center in some ways, organized community like Durga Puja or whatever. So he went there, and the guy was actually there, and he was playing carom over there. So my father called him and said, "Why did you hit him?" And he's like, "Okay, whatever, I'm sorry." And like, that's it. And I was like, "Oh, this is it." Like, so there's no justice. This is very unfair.
Such an anti-climax. Yeah, of course.
Uh, so I was like, okay. So then I decided that, okay, I have to protect myself, and then I started learning boxing, karate, so that, you
Oh,
know,
wow.
and nobody would like, so I would be able to defend myself because
Of course.
clearly nothing else is going to help. So then I got into some more violent incidents, and next time I won and I beat them up and all of that, but it did not give any kind of satisfaction. In the end, there was more anxiety, more. I didn't like how it was, and so then I was then I came across Sachin Malhan, who was just starting LST back then, maybe a few years into it, and he was doing a session of what is how law is a career, and by chance I attended it, and I really liked what he had to say about what lawyers do, what is the language of authority, and how the society functions and the constitution, and it felt like, okay, there is like a hope for justice. So that's how I really decided in one day that I want to study law and become a lawyer. And so that's how it started. So the next part of the story is again anticlimax in a way. I went to study law. I got through NUJS. I had a good rank in the exam, and then also there was another major reason, that was that like I come from a very financially difficult situation. My family was for years we had literally problem with food, electricity, basics, and so one thing I had decided when I was a child is that I'm going to be rich when I grow up. I'm not going to be poor.
This is
And
yeah.
so I had found out that if you go to this law schools and you get a good job out of, like, you can get a 1 lakh rupees per month job, and my parents what used to earn 20,000 together, and I like, okay, this is life changing money. I have to be a lawyer. And so I studied very hard, got through, and then first year went well, so to speak. It was very difficult because I studied in vernacular medium school still then, and NUJS was ruthless in so many ways. Like, there were some nice teachers, they were kind, but generally, like, batchmates, seniors were not very welcoming to somebody coming from that
Yeah,
kind of a
that's true.
background, who cannot
Yeah.
speak very
Yeah.
well,
Who cannot speak English very well.
cannot speak
Yeah.
English very well. You are harshly judged. I was
Yeah.
trying to speak English, so I was speaking in a broken English,
Broken English.
make fun of me for that and stuff like that. But
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
so I never took that very seriously because I knew that I am meant for, like, I had this very innate, very strong belief that I'm meant for greater things. All this doesn't matter, and I'll overcome everything. But end of first year, there was a shocker. Like, by the time we came back from our internships, turns out that the college has hiked the fees, like doubled it from 67,000 per year to 1,37,000. And I was
Oh
studying on
God.
education loan. And education, the entire education loan that was sanctioned to me was around 3 lakhs, 2,95,000. And there was no
Oh.
way I'm going to be able to pay for this new hiked fee. So what to do? I went and spoke to the bank. They said, sorry, we are not going to. In fact, the bank guy, SBI, right? So the officer told me that listen, I'm telling for your own good. Don't report even this officially. I'm not going to report this, that your loan will get cancelled. Whatever you're getting, okay, I will disburse it faster than originally planned so that you can keep paying your fees for a couple of years and then figure out what you are going to do, how you're going to pay the rest of the fees. So, okay. So it was a really had a very bad scene at home.
Oh
So
dear. Did you do?
so yeah, so it was like my mother crying, saying, "Don't worry, I will somehow sell my jewelry. Will take a loan from somebody. Will do something." And so I was like, okay. So I was told since I was a child that if you study good, you will become successful. You will, like, you can overcome all these barriers and you'll not have problems. So I did exactly that. I studied very hard. I did everything right. And then here I am, like, I got a top rank in national law admission test, and then I'm at NUJS, and then this is what is happening. I was ranked 2 in the national admission test.
That's amazing.
So it was like, okay, then what the hell is going on now? What am I supposed to do? So I had, like, I said, okay, let's not worry about that. Let's keep studying and figure it out. And I was clear I have to start earning. So I got an opportunity by the end of second year to start earning like through some CLAT coaching. IMS was launching its CLAT coaching, and my center manager from LST, he had now become the
You
IMS.
probably need to tell people what is LST. I don't even know. Does LST still
This is
exist?
law school tutorial,
Okay.
and it is like career launcher LST. So
Yeah.
they are like, it's the biggest and most famous law school, like law entrance exam coaching, right?
In India.
In India.
Yeah.
And then there is IMS. So IMS at that time was the biggest coaching center in India, so to speak. They were very big in
For
CAT,
cat. Yeah.
and they had decided they will launch in law. There was CLAT, and they wanted to launch for that.
Yeah.
And so, so to speak, like the person who was heading that was knew me from when I was preparing, and knew that I am a topper and all of that. So they had created some study material. So they sent it to me to review it. So what do you think? Like that. And I reviewed it, but while reviewing it, I found a lot of mistakes. So I highlighted all the mistakes, all the problems, and gave it to them, and also pointed out that a lot of that material was plagiarized from exactly which books.
Oh,
So they were like, "Oh my God, we have to launch this in a month. Like it was supposed to be launched now. What to do? Can you fix this?" And I'm like, "Okay, I can fix, but I have exams coming up, so I can't fix it now." And they're like, "We are going to pay you 10,000 rupees. Can you fix it? Like in the
oh
next."
yes. I will. I'm happy to do it.
Okay, that is needed very much. So money is needed. So I did it, and I fixed it.
But it's
Very,
great experience also, right? For you. I mean, as a second year law student, going through all the material, like you yourself will have so much more depth of knowledge at that time when
yeah,
you
actually, I had studied very hard for the law entrances, and these things were on top of my. That's why I knew everything. What is copied from where? Like I just literally,
yeah,
I knew this
yeah,
question came from here, this paper, and this book, and because I had read everything.
yeah.
So anyway, so I was able to do it really really fast and give it to them. And then the exam was there, so the exam got over. Then they called me again and said, "Why don't you drop by to our office? Just want to have a chat." So I went to meet them, and they said, "Okay, listen, how is our material compared to LST? How would you say that where are we?" Said it's about 40% of them. This is my fair assessment. So they're like, "Okay, that's very disturbing. So what do we have to do to, like, you know?" So I said, "Okay, I'm going to give you a written plan, but there are a lot of things that can be done." So I gave them like a step-by-step plan how it's going to be better. And it involved a lot of work, basically. Like I'm the sort of person who do a lot of work. So it's like here is like huge amount of things that needs to be done. So they said, "Okay, this is nice. So can you do some of this?" I'm like, "No, I gave it to you. You guys do it." Right. They're like, "No, at least this module can you make?" So okay, I will make. So how much will you pay me? They said, "Okay, how much do you want?" They asked me, and I said, "Okay, let me think." And I said, "I want 30,000 this time for creating this module." And they said, "Okay, 30,000, you won't do it for like 10, 15,000?" I said, "No, 30,000. This will take time, and I will charge this much." I said, "Okay, let us get back to you." In 7 days back, they got back to me and asked me to do it. And very interestingly, every time I got more work, I kept increasing my prices. And I think I charged a lot more than anybody else would have. Uh, and they always paid me. And it turned out, it was great. They still use this material. Like it has been 10, 12
That's
years.
amazing.
They still use this material.
But Ramanuj, I want to dig a little bit about the charging more. I think that is the thing. At least I struggle a lot with that. I know I was talking to somebody this morning only about that. But I know that how did you, as a student at the time, I think you are a second or third year law student, how did you have the courage to first come up with that number? How did you come up with that number for anyone who's listening? And this need not only be
So
uh,
very interesting thing I found out that later on, this is much later on. The first module that was really screwed up, that was plagiarized. It was created by an Oxford graduate from my alumni only. And she charged 1.5 lakh to create it. I fixed it for 10,000. And this
Oh
I
God.
found much after, like, like years after, like. And so it's not about that. It's like what people perceive your value as, right? So for me, uh, one thing was that the first time I didn't ask, they said that we'll pay you 10,000, you do it, and
Yeah,
it was
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
something for me, like it was a lot of money for me. And then, so why I asked for it, I don't know. It felt fair. Like I just thought that this is what it should be costing, and it was based on, and also what, if you look what happened every time. Like I have got a lot of work as a student, right? So I was earning 80,000-90,000 per month by then by doing freelance work
Oh, that's
as a,
awesome, man.
yeah.
And that
So
was a lot when we were students, I think.
yeah, so this is like, we had at least 100% inflation till since then. So I was literally traveling abroad. I went to UK, Hong Kong on my own money. I went, I traveled across India. I bought myself a motorbike. Like it changed, life changed completely from absolute no money, absolute humiliation because of money to in a year or so, like it was like abundance, right? Like I can do anything, be anywhere, do anything like that.
It's really
And
awesome.
yeah, and so why it happened, like and it happened again with startups, many different organizations, even large organizations like L&T, because I was never thinking that why should I add value to this person. It started with like, okay, you asked me to do something. I didn't ask, okay, how much will I charge to review this? No. Like they sent it to me and I reviewed it and I did a great job. I wrote 109 comments on the document saying that, look, these are the problems. Fix this, fix this, fix this. So when somebody gets that quality of work without even asking or without even expecting or without even getting or having to pay for it, it instantly builds trust and credibility. There is no question that I can do it or not. They haven't seen this level of competence otherwise, right? They can't find somebody like this. So then, okay, then you either work with me or not. So in this case, I realize now, much many years later, that I had literally taken over the job of the like the entire content creation for that entire course, right? And I was managing 20 freelancers and delivering entire work. So the work that, let's say, a certain manager was supposed to do, they literally gave it to me and they were outsourcing it and paying it. They didn't have to give me a job. I was doing all of it and more. And yes, I was earning good amount of money, but I was delivering tremendous value. Like I have delivered 10x more value than what I've charged. So I think that has been a steady thing. Even now, when I am offering courses, the question is that, okay, this person is buying a course worth 50,000, but will he be able to earn 5 lakh rupees from it in the next 6 months, in next 1 year? Then why not? So I am not charging based on uh, how much effort we are putting in or what I do. I mean, there is no limit to that anyway, right? So people don't succeed.
That's
So
true.
I'm working on that.
Yeah.
So if it is so clear that this is what you're getting from me and this is what you're paying for, money is never a problem. So
Mm.
I think people should initially build that trust and
Mm.
relationship and credibility, and it happened every single time. Like I have, let's say a startup and they say that, okay, we are getting to know each other and like, okay, can you help me with this? Yeah, yeah, just let's get it done, like no problem. And I wouldn't ask for money for that because they are a small startup. Now imagine that same person grows big. Like it has happened so many times that, I helped somebody in a very bad jam and then they became CEO of like a huge billion-dollar company, and then they want me to help them with XYZ. uh, as a fourth year law student, I did my first venture capital, shareholder agreement and deal
Oh,
document.
wow. That's great.
And I
Did you
got
do
paid
it by yourself
very.
or did you have
Like
a senior?
I did
Yeah.
it mostly with like one friend, batchmate or some stuff like that. Got some guidance from seniors also. But how did I get the work? They paid me 80,000 rupees for it. So I got the work because that, like, the first time I saw the CEO giving a speech somewhere. I got his card. I started sending him. relevant information for him, and it was not a strategic decision. I like this company, I like the guy, I want them to succeed. So if I read something which is relevant to them, I should send it to them and say that, look, this will be useful for you. And I didn't even get a response first 2 3 times, but I'll anyway send it. Then one day the guy calls me up and says, let's meet. And then he says that, okay, we need to sign a share, we need to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Can you help me with this? And I did it. I didn't ask for money. We did. There was no conversation for money. Okay, here is it. And this is how you should negotiate it. These are the important things. And then a couple more things I helped them out with. And one day it was like, I spoke to a lot of lawyers for drafting a shareholder agreement and doing the deal, and we are not happy with anyone. Why can't you do it? I'm like, look, I have never done anything like this. I have no idea how to do it. It's like, if I could start a startup when I was in IIT Kharagpur in fourth year and build this, now I'm raising money. Why can't you do it? You can also do it. Just figure it
It's
out.
true. That's a very nice way of thinking.
Right. And this guy had so much faith in me because he didn't hesitate to give me the work, because he got to know me over time. And I never made it. And I see so many people, they're like, what will I get out of it? Like, you haven't even done anything in your life. Go help somebody first, build a relationship, then you'll get paid. It's not a problem. But if you make that a barrier at every step, that you are not going to give value to somebody because they're not paying you right now, then you are condemned to struggle for money.
True. It's a very different approach, Ramanuj, because this is not the traditional approach that we think. We are always having that capitalist mindset, no? Or rather, we are fed that capitalist mindset that you have to, everything is money, time is money, this is money, Uh, and this is the other way around. It's like, give value, and then money there's no limit to that. So I agree. Now to just to sort of segue into what you did with Law Sikho, because that really is what I think, that's what brought you on what how I got to know about you, because I think I saw some Law Sikho ads some time ago, not now, it's been a couple of years. Why did you start Law Sikho? Now that's my number one question. What is your vision? Why did uh, tell us everything about Law Sikho? How did it come about, and what are you doing now, and what do you plan to do with it?
Okay, so Law Sikho. So when I was like back then, when all this thing was happening, so I did a lot of internships with, like, law firms, and even in Mumbai for that matter, with a dispute resolution. Like, I was interning at this
Where were you? Where were you in Bombay?
Chambers of George Revelu.
Acha.
So they are a shipping law firm. They're actually the top shipping law firm. And there was Ashwin Shankar, he was a partner, and
Acha.
he was doing a lot of arbitration, litigation, and I would,
But all on maritime side.
and some other stuff also, but
Acha.
maritime and other stuff
It was
also.
a mainstay.
Then
Okay.
I would, accompany him for this very high value arbitration matters, and get to see it. And I was shocked, and I felt that this system don't work at all. Like, there's no fairness. It's not working. Like, I would see, like, there's a arbitration matter going on, and the arbitration cost has exceeded 2 crores, and it is over like 1.5 crores, and it is going on for 8 years.
Yeah.
And I see, like,
It happened to me in
yeah,
my
and
matters.
arbitrators are coming and meeting, and they don't want to even hear the matter. They're like, okay, cancel. They just want more and more dates, because perhaps it is in their financial interest to have more dates and not move it along. And it was very disheartening to see how things were. And so even in, like, when we saw, like, criminal litigation, it was so disheartening. Like, literally, lawyers themselves don't know how to do the work. Many of them working just as touts in the court, getting the matter somehow from somebody, taking some money, and then they don't even know how to write a bail application. Then there are lawyers who are just doing the same work, like they are taking the same bail application and filing it for everyone. They don't even know how to change it according to the circumstances. It was so sad to see. And then it was like, okay, not working. The system is not working. Like, just not, like, there's some things that work, but it's so inaccessible, so, like, highly disappointing.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
yeah, so it was like, okay, what do we do? Like, what can I do about this? And so I was clear that I don't want to work in the system because I will not be able to change the system. If I like, I can't do much of an impact. I can do my work well, that's it. And
Mm.
that would not be a systemic change.
Yeah.
The question was that, okay, what can I do? Can I be a professor? And the idea was no, like, that's also another
Yeah,
miss,
limited impact.
right? Very limited impact. So what else can I do? Can I start an NGO? I worked with some NGOs and I realized that even like, they're doing some good work and in some pockets, but it's not having,
Yep.
I didn't, we could not visualize me having an impact through that. And then the question was that what else can I do? And was hanging out with a lot of startups in Calcutta, and I was seeing these people like, doing really interesting stuff, using software, building systems. I felt like, okay, maybe this can do something. And my first thing, my first obvious idea was that, okay, there is a big lack of knowledge about law in the world, like, in
Yes.
India especially, like you can't even find information, right? So unless you're a lawyer, you can't read some law reports and case law and whatever statutes, you can't even understand what is going on.
Yeah.
So so my first thing was that, okay, let's build blogs and make this information available. So iPleaders blog I started when I was still in law school, fourth year, 2009 it started. And initially it was also to promote our, like, we had started a legal risk management consultancy in college, Abhyuday and I. And we realized
Oh,
that,
lovely.
because we cannot take legal work, so to speak, as we are not
Yeah, of
qualified.
course. You can't. You're not qualified yet.
So we created this idea concept that we will do legal risk management. So you tell a company that we will identify your legal risks and suggest things you can do to minimize them. And we worked with a lot of different companies. One of them was even L&T, Larsen and Toubro. So we are doing that, and it was doing well. It was a bit of a challenge because a lot of people don't take us seriously because we are students.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that actually. That it was first of all quite brave of you to go I have so many questions on how did you even have the mindset to think that, yeah, let's go after it. What did you guys do? You would just write cold emails to these companies, or you would just go and meet them at conferences? Like, how would you do it?
Massive physical networking. Like, we literally talk to everyone we knew and we'll ask them how we want to do this. Can we do it for your company? Let's do it. Let's have a meeting. We'll not charge anything. Let's get started. Something like that.
Mm.
And that's how we got. Like, it's very interesting. Once I met somebody in a train, and that guy turned out to have a connection with the CEO of a group of companies in Calcutta, and he would introduce us. So I had
Oh,
noticed.
that's amazing.
So
So
we're doing
basically,
that.
the thread, sorry, I'm cutting you, but basically the thread is seems to be that you've always been thinking, what's next and how do I sort of you're really good at spotting opportunity and acting on that. Like, I don't think you think as much. Like, I mean, if I'm speaking for myself, I tend to overthink everything. There's an opportunity. I'm like, oh, balance, we'll do pros and cons analysis and all. We don't like directly jump and start swimming. So I think that's something I'm taking away from this conversation today, at least from you. So sorry, go
I
on.
have very high failure tolerance. So it's like,
I think that is your superpower,
yeah,
because
because I
most of us are
assume that I'm
terrified
gonna
of failure.
fail. I'm assuming that I'm gonna fail, and I'm gonna learn from it, and I'm gonna try again.
Hmm.
I'll do it 100 times if I have to, till I get results. So that's very clear to me that there will be mistakes and there will be failures, and it will happen 1,000 times. But with every time you iterate and learn
Of
and
course,
make it
yeah,
better, that's it.
yeah. Yeah, I'm learning this from you. Yeah, I feel like God put you today to teach me this lesson, because I tend to overthink a lot about everything. I thought so much before I quit my job to start Daily Lawyer. You should see all the sheets I've made: pros, cons, how am I going to do projection of my finances. Oh God, don't tell
No,
me.
that's okay. You should do that. It's useful.
I
But
don't think everything
just
works out also according to
just
plan.
don't
Yeah.
exactly. Just don't expect that it will go along that road.
Yeah.
But that initial calculation is very important. It is not useless. It is very useful because you keep that is what I reiterate again. Like you are going to keep working on that because you need some initial idea of where you stand, an anchor to know
Yeah.
that even if it goes wrong, you're like, okay, this is where I'm going off.
Huh.
That helps you to understand. So that planning is not futile, it is very useful.
Thank you. I think I have a lot to talk to you about in so many things, but I'm going to try and stick to the, your career journey, because I keep
Sure.
thinking of tangents when you're speaking. Uh, okay, so what I wanted to ask you was about lawyers, because
So let me
you.
finish one thing,
Oh,
just
sorry,
one.
sorry, sorry,
I
sorry,
was
sorry.
just saying that, why we did the blog. In also, there was a selfish interest apart from making information available, was that we realized that whenever people, like, we can overcome being young and people not taking us seriously. Number one, I had noticed whenever I was teaching people and I
Hmm.
taught them, they had a different view of me and they would
Hmm.
not hesitate to give me work, legal work. So that was one part of it. And second part of it was that I realized that, like we can write a book or something like that, that
Yeah,
really
yeah,
creates your profile. And that's something that I can do. So writing a book is a great idea, but a blog also was a great idea to promote a services business, right? So that's how we started. And it started doing, like, initially the blog hardly had any response, but it was like a mission. It was very a missionary approach. We kept publishing. Even when I was working at Trilegal for a year in Mumbai, and I still kept writing on the blog. And that is actually when the blog started taking off a little bit. And yeah, so that was one systemic change I wanted to do, and that has, I believe, to an extent, we have succeeded today because we have almost
absolutely.
5-6 million readers on iPleaders blog every month. So we are touching over 5 crore people in a year now, and that feels like, yeah, we have succeeded at some to an extent. We have succeeded on that. But then the next thing was that, okay, blog and access to knowledge is okay. But while I was working with all these startups and some other companies and all, I realized that they're like exactly your feeling, that people badly need legal knowledge. Having legal knowledge is a tremendous competitive advantage. So when I was still in college,
Absolutely.
we went and pitched it to our vice chancellor. There was Professor Shamnath Bashir. So we went and told them, there was me and Abhijit, we went and told them that, and you just should launch a course where these kind of things are taught. Entrepreneurs and managers should be taught business law and in this manner. And like in this one, a very practical approach, like, how, what should be your business structure?
Absolutely. Yeah.
How do you register your IP, or should you do it or not, and how to go about it, how to go about your business licenses and everything, like the whole week came up conceptualized 12 different modules for 12 months and said this is how it should be happening. And thankfully, Professor MP Singh and Shamnanda, these are very progressive, forward-looking people, and they thought, okay, students are doing something good. Let's encourage them. And very soon, like, it didn't happen very soon. It took 1.5 years to get through. But finally, we got a contract from NUJS that, okay, you guys can launch these courses, but we won't put up any money. You guys do whatever you want. Just give us whatever 40% revenue share, and you guys manage your costs and everything out of your 60%. And that then we quit our jobs at Trilegal to run these programs. And in the first year, we did 1 crore of revenue from,
Wow.
yeah. And by the way, it's not NUJS, like, because NUJS had programs on their own, which doesn't sell more than 10 or 20 or 100. And then they had programs with another startup that time, Rainmaker.
Yeah.
And Rainmaker program was also not successful. And our program was wildly successful. It is because of our approach and like how we marketed and how we looked at the program and what we delivered and everything. The way we did business was very different. And it was very successful. We sold 500 courses in the first year,
Wow.
and
And each
that
course was how long?
1 year, 1 year courses. We had only
And
one
these are like you termed it what?
500. We sold it to 500 people, one course. We had
Yeah,
only
I
one.
understood that, but it's like, oh, so you sold 500 people your course, and this is like what you call it, a diploma in business
It
laws
was a
or
dip-
something?
it was a diploma course, 1 year diploma course. It was
And
entrepreneurial
each course, you priced each course at what?
Back then it was 20,000 rupees.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah,
This is what 2011, 12.
2012.
20,000 is not, that is not a small amount for us to put in a course, especially, not bad. Great, actually. Sorry, go on.
So it was like so we identified the actual need of the market. We sold it. It was very successful, and we also had like we had the blog and we had so many other things we had built over time, like the personal brand we had built over time. Everything came handy that time, and then this was working, and we decided, okay, let's scale this. I think we had only one course for the first 2 or 3 years, and then we had so this was going well, and then there was a new vice chancellor, and he had to pay seventh pay commission to the in NUJs, and he didn't have money, and he was stuck. So he called us, and he told us that NLS Bangalore makes 8 crore per year from distance courses. They don't have online courses. We have done online courses, and they got some accolades also. And you just got some accolades from SILF, this that, oh, you are doing so many different courses, reaching out to so many people. So they were very happy, and they said, okay, why don't launch some more courses and tell us what we have to do so that we can get to that kind of like 8 crore revenue like NLS, because that their entire revenue from the students was around 5-6 crores, and they were getting 1 crore from our courses already, and they wanted to scale it up. So we said, okay, possible, and here is how it is possible. These are the programs you have to launch. This is how we go about it. This is like there's a 4-year plan, and we said, okay, let's start executing. 1 or 2 parts we started executing, and it really grew. So in 2017, NUJS was earning about 1.5 crore pure profit from these programs. And this is compared to like whatever, like this was
Yeah.
contributing 15% of their annual budget.
Wow.
And next year, it was 2018, it would become 30% because it is also growing, it's
Of
rapidly growing.
course, yeah.
And so we were very happy, but we thought that we need to tell our teachers at NUJs about this, and so that they will be more cooperative, because a lot of places we are not getting cooperation. So we went and told them that this is what is we have been able to do for the university. It is so good, and we can, this year it will be 30% and will be more in the future. And then we thought, okay, we will get their cooperation, but exactly opposite happened, because they were like, oh my God, there's a private company which is earning money from our university's name. What is their qualification? They just because they are alumni, they're doing this, and it's a big blunder. We didn't even do a what is it called, a tender before giving them this project. Tender
Uh,
doesn't apply because they didn't give us any money. It was,
yeah.
but still there was a lot of protests and all of that from
Yeah.
the party. And then there was a change in the vice chancellor. The previous vice chancellor had to step down because of some student protests over administration. And the new vice chancellor, who was acting vice chancellor, just came and stopped the programs overnight, and did not even refuse to do any interaction with us. Stopped paying us money. There was about some 1 crore rupees due. They just shut it down, didn't
Oh,
pay.
God.
And so the accumulated dues over like 3-4 months, just didn't pay. Didn't give certificate to the students. Put up a notice on the website saying that all these courses are suspended until further notice.
Oh, dear.
And then there were 3,500 students studying different courses at that point of time. Everybody was calling us saying that, oh my God, what have you done? Like, you guys give us our certificate. And like, how can we do it? Do you enroll with NUJs? Thank God they all enrolled with NUJs on their website, paid money to NUJs, didn't pay to us. So we said, you go and claim it from NUJs, we can help you to file cases against them. We filed cases against them, and we helped the students to file cases. But yeah, basically our business was wiped off because it was 90% of our revenue. And Law Sikho was a small side project we had they wouldn't give us permission to launch courses fast enough. So certain courses we will launch outside them on our own on Law Sikho. But it was very small, like maybe 3-4 lakh revenue per month or something like that. So anyway, we had to ask. We had a 50 people team then, so we had to ask most of the people that, look, we are not going to be able to pay you salary. You guys go and find another job. We'll try to help you, but this is it. And then 14 people refused to leave. They said, let's try again with Law Sikho, what we can do.
How
We said,
nice.
so let's try. And so first month our goal was that somehow we have to make 5 lakh rupees revenue. Then we will survive. We'll be able to pay office rent and 50% salary to everyone. We made 8 lakhs that month somehow.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, we kept, then that was very clear that, the university thing was totally unnecessary. We could do it on our own. We were selling the courses on the strength of the what people learned and the
Yeah.
value. So we just kept doing that, and then we grew very fast from there. So 8 lakh, then 10 lakh per month, then 30 lakh per month, then 50 lakh per month. Now we have what, 3.5 crore per month revenue.
That's amazing.
And
And this is only from Law Sikho.
this is from Law Sikho. So skill arbitrage we launched this month. There's another brand which is for non-lawyers. And that would be like maybe 15% or 20% of our revenue from this month. But yeah, this is
So
entirely
what
from
does skill arbitrage do?
skill arbitrage is doing what we did through Law Sikho for lawyers
But
and
for non-lawyers.
for non-lawyers.
Yeah. Okay, lovely. So this is something that even I want to do. I don't want to do, I mean, I'd love to speak to lawyers and law students, but I genuinely believe that maybe because of my background and what I have seen and learned in the last 14 years of my career, I believe that it's important for everyone to understand law, every single person. And of
Our
course,
skill arbitrage programs are non-law programs too. Like they are like other
oh,
non-legal.
okay. So you're not teaching law to non-lawyers, you're teaching something else.
Yeah. In law to non-lawyers, we teach within Law Sikho itself.
Acha. Okay, okay. So skill arbitrage is what? Like soft skills and things like that, is it? How do you leverage?
Yeah, skill arbitrage. So basically, what we realized, like since the pandemic, one big inflection point for us was realizing that there's no reason for us to restrict to a city or to my own state or my own country, even for that matter, right? So if you can work remotely, you can work remotely from anywhere in the world, right?
Yeah.
So you can work for US lawyers, you can work for UK lawyers, you can work for startups in the US. You can, and that's doing, a lot of our students are working for startups in the US, in
But
Europe.
what kind of work are you doing? When you say startups in the US or where? In fact, that was truly my next question because I see posts about Africa and about other places in Asia and Europe and things like that. And I keep wondering, what is this work that you're doing?
So we started with lawyers. So lawyers in the pandemic were real. So our entire appeal of Law Sikho, even before the pandemic, was that we help people to get jobs, internships, and internships primarily, maybe clients. Okay, but what happened during the pandemic is there was jobs were resigned, people were fired, internships cancelled, clients not paying. Everyone was in such bad shape, and I was literally getting calls every day, multiple calls saying that, what do we do? Please help. Can you help me to get a job? I'm desperate. And I got this idea that there has to be some way out, right? And I was thinking about it day and night. And then I realized that why can't we help these people to get a job, let's say in the US? Because in US, if somebody is willing to work for $8 or $10 per hour, it's a very attractive pricing as a paralegal, as a lawyer, as a whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, why can't I help these people to get that job? What do I have to do to make it happen? Initially, I did one program with a US law school, actually, Texas A&M University Law School. Then I did launch more programs on our own. And we help people to learn, let's say, US patent law or US real estate law, US contract drafting. And if they can learn something in 6 months, they can actually, even faster than that, they can get and remote job or remote freelance work. Initially, people started getting work from Upwork, Fiverr, that kind of platforms, remote, okay, so many other platforms are there, but then they would start writing directly. We created our US company to help bridge the gap with those opportunities. And basically, thousands of people have been able to get remote work, freelance work, and much better things than what they would get in India at any given point of time. So, like, there's a student of mine who was doing litigation in Delhi last year, and now she's running a law firm in Los Angeles.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Based in LA or she's?
Based in LA.
I have so many questions. Like, did she have to do her bar exam there? I'm presuming
She
California
hasn't
bar.
done bar exam yet.
She hasn't done her bar.
California bar exam. She's preparing with us for California bar exam. So, see, the thing is that
So sorry. If anyone else is wondering, because I've studied in the US, so I know. Did she have to do her LLM or credits and all of that, or you managed to get the?
she had done an LLM 5 years back in the US, which did not help her to get started back then. So, but she had certain connections. Look, if you want to give California bar exam, you don't need to have any US law degree. You can do it based on your. If you're a registered lawyer in India, you can give California bar exam.
Achha. And is there any other bar in the, because in so far as I know, it's only the New York and California bar that allows you, but then not any other bar in
New York is possible in our observation if you have a 3-year LLB degree. If you have a 5-year LLB degree, they won't approve you. But you have to apply. In New York, it's a long process. You apply, they will say, okay, you can give, and then you can write. California is a little easier.
Okay. Sorry. Now go on. Sorry.
Anyway, so the point is that so anyway, law, like, you can only work as a paralegal, for example, if you are not an attorney in the US. You can still work as a paralegal, but yeah, like, it's not the best situation. But TK, if you're earning $20-30 per hour as a paralegal, which you can, then it's really good. And good paralegals can even charge $50 per hour. But then there are people who realize that, okay, I'm working as a paralegal and earning good. Now I can get a business visa to the US because my earnings are so good. And I have so many clients in the US. Somebody will write me a letter. Now, that is one part of it. Second part of it is that you then want to give a bar exam and become a qualified attorney because your income potential grows exponentially after that. So people are doing that, and not only in the US, they're doing it for Canada, for UK, all countries. Like, we have some 50 people writing the SQE in July. Their results will be out, so we are waiting for that.
The UK one, right?
Yeah, so also
SQE for UK, yeah.
Yeah. So the next step was that we prepared people for these things, but we realized that law is highly regulated, much smaller industry. It's much bigger than India. Entire Indian legal industry is $2 billion. US is like 330 billion, $350 billion. UK is like around 70 to $100 billion. Huge industries compared to India. Even South Africa legal industry is bigger than Indian legal industry. So now the situation is that, we can place like 1 million lawyers from India into these jobs, and they are becoming financially independent. It's really amazing to see people succeed so well, get jobs which they're not able to get otherwise, having the freedom, being able to be freelancers. There's like 200,000 small law firms in the US, which are between 2 to 8 lawyers or 2 to 10 lawyers, right? And these people are not able to use LPOs because the scale doesn't allow them to do it. But they can hire remote workers and scale better, reduce their cost. It makes no sense for them to not do it. There are a few things to be solved, like, data confidentiality and so on. But once they can do that, they can hire 2 to 5 remote freelancers to take care of so many different aspects of their business and legal work also. And that's something we believe that there's a scope for at least 1 million remote freelancers in the future. Actually, the demand is much bigger than the supply.
Is it? That's a very heartening thought. No, the demand is much bigger than the supply, because also quite radical. What you have, all the things that you've said, and all the things. Because I think when I was listening to you, I was thinking, oh my God, I think I was living in this small world of small world of all of these things that you're saying is quite. How did you get in touch with these people? How did you go and find these connections, let's say in South Africa and the UK, and preparing people for California bar? Because you have not given California bar. I don't know whether you have your partners have given the California bar, so how did you and even Texas A&M and all of that, how did you think of going, how to get in touch with these people?
I don't know. I
And
don't.
what kind of courses did you run for them?
So Texas A&M University, now we have an online LLM program in IP. Uh,
Oh,
but
lovely. Huh.
but generally speaking, it's like, you just, I don't know, like I haven't had a very specific strategy like that how I'm going to go and meet people. I am doing what is making sense. That, for example, I know, like, let's say take California bar exam, right? So I knew that I want to build a California bar exam product because it makes sense for my students. There are so many people who are getting work with California lawyers, and it's one of the most progressive jurisdictions in terms of adopting to remote work. Startups are there. So how, I mean, it's just makes sense that my students should also clear the California bar exam. And such is luck that it allows you to do it. If you're a foreign lawyer, you can write the exam. You don't have to get an expensive US LLM, which is the main barrier for a lot of people. So then why can't they give it? And why can't they prepare for it? So what do I have to? So we literally, like, one of my colleagues went to California, spent time in the law school libraries, met a lot of people, brought back 40 kg of study material. And then I have a team here, 5 people who sat down, and we have created our pathway, like how you will teach, what will be our different way of teaching, what kind of content we are going to create. So we figured that out and just started building. And same like SQE, for example. And then we will, that when the time comes, we also hire people who have cleared the California bar exam, and we'll get them to take some classes. So that we will do. But generally, we internally build a capacity to figure out what the program is like. And that way we have built, like, for every exam, like we have a team which basically have been cracking all different exams, like starting from judiciary in India to IBPS, SAB, to any other exam, and then SQE, NCA Canada, Ontario bar exam. So one thing is that you have what everything is available. So for example, SQE, right? So we bought all the courses that are there. We saw what they're offering. We thought how we can do it better. And we really didn't find those courses good. We found them terrible. Like, the kind of support that students get, or the material. It's just like you have some PDFs, read this, there's some quizzes, you take this, here's some
You have
videos.
flashcards. Do you also have flashcards?
Flashcards.
So you
Yeah,
used to get
we have, but
flashcards, what
yeah.
are, yeah.
But really, that's not the value, right? So there are better, like, when we actually, to think of it, a judiciary exam, let's say in UP or Delhi, is much harder to crack than a California bar exam. Like, forget crack, like even studying, like, there's no comparison, right? And the amount of analysis that goes into paper to understand paper trends, what the value, what to spend time on. Nobody has done real analysis on these papers. So in India, we really have technology for cracking exams. Like, we are a country of people who are, like,
Uh,
thrive with
yeah, of
competitive
course.
exams, and
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
really, we really invest in that. I don't think people in the US even think like that, right? So we hack exams. Like, we figure out, okay, this is how they are, whatever. Like, there's a different way of thinking and preparing. And so
Analysis was the correct word.
we have been trying and figuring out this kind of things, how we can crack these exams. And there's so much, so much, like, what kind of mock tests people should be giving, what kind of, what should be the, where to focus more, where to focus less. There's a lot that can be figured out. And we are still early in the curve in these exams, I'm sure. I mean, we are waiting for our first results. Like, when we have 50 people cracking this, we'll start selling on those countries also. Right now, we're selling it to Indians also.
Okay, sounds exciting. But now tell me, given that you are working with not just Indian lawyers, I'm presuming you also work with a lot of other jurisdictions. What would you say on a comparative basis, are some of the strengths that you see in us? Do you see any differences? That's my first question. Because I have also had a pan global sort of experience. So I definitely have seen differences in the way we work, in the way we approach things, in the way other people approach, like culturally also across the world. So what would you say are the some of the strengths that we have? What would you say some of the weaknesses that we have that we can truly work on it? Because I believe that India is becoming, quite global, and this is like the India Inc.
Yeah.
time.
So the strength that I see is that people have very good English communication skills and overall good communication skills in India. I mean, they may not be polished, but there's a difference between polish and communication. And they are very hardworking. I mean, can't generalize, but a lot of people are hardworking. Those who are hardworking are very hardworking. Then there is a lot more hunger and striving to do something like that. That's a different level altogether here. Indian lawyers, when I see American lawyers and Indian lawyers, a lot of Indian, they are better with numbers. I find this very funny in the US that people really struggle with numbers, and Indian lawyers are good with numbers. Like generally speaking, not doesn't apply to everyone, but pretty good
Of
overall.
course, there
And
are exceptions, but in general, so far I agree with everything that
I
you
would
said.
say these are some of the trends that I have seen. Then I see that there's huge advantage that Indian lawyers have over developed country lawyers is that our charges are much less. Like if you are charging $20 per hour and you're working $200 hours, in a month, you end up earning $4,000. That is a lot of money in India.
Yeah, of
And
course.
we have people working from small towns like Shimla or Jodhpur, or like really smart people, good English educated people, uh, legal education, however, whatever, but definitely good English educated. And I mean, I think Indian legal education, at least you learn to do case law research, you learn to write something, and that much is there across the board. You may not be able to do great analysis or come up with stuff, but that's not needed. Like there's a lot of work that you can do in law firms, which is basically same work again and again, like repetitive work, and they struggle to find people to do it well and do it on a long-term basis, and that problem Indian
Consistently.
lawyers solve. Yeah.
Mm.
So, and actually, it's not just there. Like same thing. If you can learn the right skills, you can get job in marketing, sales, operation, everything. Right?
Mm.
Those things are even easier to get working
Mm.
compared to legal. Legal, there's a lot of concern. The only thing I think that is stopping it from blowing up even bigger is that a lot of lawyers in the US or UK, they are conservative and worried about data protection issues and sharing client information with lawyers in another country with over whom they feel they have less control or less oversight.
Mm.
That is stopping a lot of it.
That's
But
a fair. That's a fair fear.
of course, but you have to understand today even military is working remotely and there is military grade data security softwares, right? Coders are doing it. There's like everybody, like there are solutions. It's not like there are no solutions. It's just lawyers are not used to them.
Mm.
But given the economic incentive is so huge, imagine if you are, a lot of lawyers have told me, let's say in California, that I can't find a English speaking paralegal who speaks correct English for $30 per hour.
Like, come, we have a country full of them.
Yes, and this is their problem. And and let's say somebody is able to do IP law work. Let's say they're able to work on office actions, and they're a paralegal. They'll be charging you $50-$60 per hour, and you won't find anybody else like below that in the US if you hire
Mm.
physically anybody competent. Here you can find a IP lawyer who have worked on those things, who's probably as competent as the lawyer itself
Yeah,
on
of course. Yeah.
$20-$30 per hour and
Yeah.
$10 per hour,
Yeah.
right?
That's less than minimum wage, man. Like,
Exactly. And they can hire at that price. So there's a huge incentive to learn how to work safely, securely with international remote workers, right? That is why, like, once you start doing it, then you realize, and then you have competitive advantage over every other lawyer. And a big problem that US lawyers have is that even if they find a good paralegal, That paralegal will soon become a lawyer and leave or charge a lot more. Like you can't retain paralegals. Very big problem.
Mm.
So they have huge problems that can be solved through remote.
Easily through the
And
remote
what should happen? It's like imagine there was a time when some companies in the US started outsourcing to China for their manufacturing, right? And others were like, no, no, this is not good. We will have better quality, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then you realize that those companies are buying your company few years down the line, and you just don't have a choice. It's economics, right? So the economics is so much better that everybody had to eventually outsource their manufacturing out of US. And that's going to happen. I don't know everybody will do it, but very significant.
Yeah, the significant amount of people will shift towards.
And if you don't, then over time, the other people will have so much more advantage over you that they will get the clients. And by the way, big law firms already lean on LPOs in a very big way. And other processes like this. There are like LPOs with 30,000, 40,000 employees in India and elsewhere also. And it has happened in every industry. And uh, big law firms are already doing it. Small law firms couldn't do it because they cannot just hire an LPO for a 50 people process. It just doesn't work for them, right?
Hmm.
Their work is not homogeneous, their work is not scalable. It cannot be outsourced as a process. But yeah, but they can hire remote workers. So that's the change that happened after the pandemic, because they realized that we can work remotely. So a lot more people are open to working remotely.
Yeah, especially in our field.
Yes.
Hmm. So I think I asked you all of the questions that I wanted to ask you in this section.
Sure.
And then there's a second section of the podcast that I do only because I like doing it. I like knowing the answers that come. So this is a simpler one. It's I call it 5 4 3 2 1. Okay, so I ask you five of something, four of something, three of something, and the idea is that you answer quickly, as in like whatever comes to your mind. So shall I start?
Yes, please.
5 productivity tips. You are the good person to tell me about this productivity tips. So 5 productivity tips or routines or some things that have helped you. You can use your apps also. You have any apps that you want to share?
5 productivity tips. Okay, so first thing is that have 1 or 2 priorities for the entire month. So, there is always some big problems that you're trying to solve. Like for me, it
Yeah.
is sometimes 3 months, right? And obviously, there are 10, 20, 100 things you can do, but don't worry about that. Just do that one thing if possible, maybe 2 things at all. And that's all, right? If preferably one. What is that one thing if you could do, it'll change everything. So just do that one thing and ignore everything else. There would be 100 things you can do always, but ignore 99 things and do that one thing. That is like the most important. Like just focus on that problem for long enough. And that is one very big important thing. Like to ignore everything else and focus on one major thing. Another is that learn to hire people, learn to hire and manage people, because if you're trying to do big things, you'll have to do that, and there's no other way. Trying to do everything on your own is foolish. You'll never be able to do as much as a team will be able to do. And even if you are very good at your work, you must leverage your abilities with a team.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very basic thing that a lot of people miss out on. What else? I think sleeping early is a very big productivity hack people miss out on. If
Sleeping
you
early means what?
sleeping early, like
Yeah.
early in the night, like don't sleep
Yeah.
late.
Ha. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you.
How early? Like early.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so
Yes,
why?
very
Uh,
true.
why is that? Because so one thing is that your entire brain performance and health, everything depends on good quality sleep. Basically, sleeping patterns are very important, and if you get enough deep sleep, if you get enough high quality sleep, REM sleep, which I track very religiously, that has a huge impact on your productivity and mental health and ability to get work done. And a lot of people who are suffering from mental health issues or low productivity issues often have sleeping problems, which they don't connect. But
Yeah.
you have to see, and also the thing I realized that if you sleep early, you get more deep sleep, deep restorative sleep.
Absolutely.
So that almost doubles for me if I sleep at 10 o'clock rather than at
Hmm.
12.
Hmm.
So this year, in fact, one of my goal is to sleep between 10 and 11 a.m., 11 p.m. every day. And the other thing is that I think you will not be productive unless you take care of your health in the way that, for example, I see all the time my students will come and say, Sir, I'm not able to focus. I'm not able to get this done. I'm getting distracted. And every time I tell them, can you please do your vitamin B12 and D3 tests? And it will always come below required levels. And look, if you don't have vitamin B12, your brain doesn't work, your nerves don't work, you're not going to be high performing. This is not enough. There are other things, like for me, it is taking a lot of supplements that helps. So I take a lot of supplements every day, and I have consulted experts and biohackers, and like I religiously take my supplements, and it completely elevated my mental performance and ability to get work done, ability to stay calm, completely, absolutely changed.
So, can you share what kind of supplements? I'm presuming B12 and D3 are part of.
These are basic. So some things I can recommend to everybody is D3, B12, magnesium, because magnesium is a very critical element, and then vitamin C, I guess. So these are things that you need to take in high dosage, and like you to figure it out. I can't recommend a
Yeah, of
dosage.
course. But yeah,
You can figure out at least these things. This will but it's like this vitamin D3 and B12 is like almost everybody is deficient in this. And
sure.
even what is suggested at a normal level is for you to not to fall sick. But for a elevated performance, you need even higher levels of it. So that's one basic thing you should check. Magnesium is like anti-stress. It's an element which keeps stress in control. There's a lot of other things it does, but a lot of you have to be careful about the supplements you take. Most of the supplements you can buy from Amazon or from a drugstore, they have very low dosage. They have they have like things inside them which are not bioavailable. So even if you are taking it, it has no impact on your health because it's not doesn't get absorbed. So for example, a lot of magnesium supplements have magnesium oxide, which is not bioavailable. It's not going to help you in any way, but they will show you, oh my god, it has so much magnesium in this supplement, but it will not work. And it's very difficult for somebody who doesn't study this to know. You have to really like educate yourself before
Mm.
you can get. And there are very few doctors who can help you with preventive healthcare or
Mm.
functional health. So one level is that, okay, you're not sick, and doctors will stop there. Now if you want to know how you can elevate your performance, right, there are experts, and usually people who hired them are like billionaires, millionaires would hire them. And there, it's a culture in the Silicon Valley in US, in the biohackers, people who really study. Not they, you are sick. That's a different thing. Another thing is that how do you elevate your performance? How can you have higher metabolism, maybe, or how can you have higher brain performance? How can you have higher levels of immunity so that you don't fall sick and so on? Like how can you recover quicker from illness, or how can you recover quicker from fatigue if you're working out and so on. So there are people who study that, and there is science. How can you live longer, for that matter?
Mm.
How can you stay younger for longer? And there are people and companies and uh, even universities which are studying these things.
Mm.
That information is not available to your local doctors or even your specialists, right? So it is very important. One big problem I have seen in a lot of people in India is that they have parasite infestations, and I also had it myself. And there are no proper tests to detect it. Very difficult, and solving it was one of the critical, massive improvements after that.
Acha.
When we are young, our parents, you may have had the same experience. They would make us eat a lot of bitter stuff,
Yeah,
neem, karela, and I don't know what all, like very bitter stuff. And
very bitter stuff.
yeah,
And
how
they
it,
make that thing, no, with neem, that chota goli that you have to eat once a year. Oh God,
hmm.
that was horrible.
I thought that was very important
Yeah.
because not having that basically causes huge parasite infestations, and it need not be only in your intestine. It can be anywhere in other places of your body, muscles, bone, joints,
Acha.
everywhere.
So how?
And
Sorry.
so the problem is that there are a lot of there are like 70,000-80,000 types of parasites in India, and they are endemic everywhere. Okay, they will come from water, they'll come from skin, they just come from anywhere, and it's a forgotten disease. It's not researched. It is not, but the parasites open the doors for others like fungus and then virus and bacteria. They reduce your immunity. They screw up your metabolism at many different levels. And so what happens is that you don't know all these are there. Doctors don't look for them. Doctors keep treating the symptoms, but you keep having more and more of those symptoms, and it doesn't get solved over time, one after another thing. And there are no so the there are there is one test that is in India everywhere they do, which is basically corpogram, which is they actually look into your bodily waste if there are any eggs or any body parts of this thing. First of all, that only applies to intestinal parasites, but then there are other parasites. So, for example, in my case, I had something called toxoplasma. Okay, and this hides in muscles and joints, and it created massive problems, and I wouldn't know. And then I started. So basically, how I treated it was that I started taking some very bitter juices every day, and like three different types of them, because these parasites are highly evolved and they can very easily adapt to different kind of things, including medicines. They're like
Sure.
super organisms. They're super bacteria though, which are very hard to kill. And if you kill them with one antibiotic, the next generation will be resistant to the antibiotic.
Wow.
For example, Helicobacter, which most people have in India again. So basically, what happened is that I realized that I have to keep treating, like I have to keep taking bitter stuff. And after I started taking this bitter stuff, initially it was like some common Indian herbs, kalmeg, neem, etc. And then I graduated to something called mugwort, which is artemisinin. There's another. It's actually also the current treatment of malaria comes from the same herb, artemisinin.
Acha.
So I took that, and after that I then some other things, and it just I had massive improvement in my metabolism, health, and I lost some 10 kgs in few months, few weeks. In fact, I had a huge problem with my hip joint where I had developed something called necrosis, avascular necrosis, and no doctors could fix it. And after this, in a week, it shifted. And now
But
I'm like,
who did somebody tell you to do this, or just
I had
you did
guidance, I had guidance of some expert.
functional medicine doctor? So you knew like how to make that. Oh, that I know we've gone sort of very far away from the talk, and I don't
But
know
the
whether we're
point
going to
is
keep
that
going or not.
this is if you want high productivity, you have to solve this level of problems over time. Only
Mm.
willpower is not going to see you through, and you have to take care of your health in this way. That's the point.
Yeah. Now that you're telling me, I think I have to check. I always thought that I have chronic back pain after, because I have two kids, and after I delivered my younger one, I was like, okay, it's very normal. But now that you tell me, it's entirely possible that it's something else. So let me try.
So the point is that it's a very good idea to assume that you have some or the other parasites, and you have to keep them in check, because it's just everywhere. There's no way, like, how are you not going to have it? Well, there is a body. Oh, one easy way of checking that, if you have high eosinophil counts. So if your eosinophil count,
What called?
so if you have, you would be like, wherever you go to doctor, they want a test. One of the common tests they do is a complete blood count. So look at your complete blood count and look at your eosinophil count. So there, eosinophil is a white blood corpuscle, red blood corpuscle, and there's WBC and RBC. So one type of WBC is eosinophil, and when you have parasites, it grows in numbers.
Yeah. Okay. So you'll have a higher count, basically, you're saying, of eosinophil.
Yeah.
I'm technically a science student, but then figures, right, shows how much of a science student I am. Okay. 4 books that you'd recommend to anyone.
Four books. Okay, so one is Never Eat Alone. There's a very cool book I read in college. It's by Kit Ferazi. Then there's a book called How to Argue and Win Every Time. This is by Jerry. I forgot his name. Mm.
We'll figure it out and put it in the
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the.
okay. So this is a book called How to Argue and Win Every Time. It's written by a former Attorney General of US, and he actually won every criminal case he ever argued. And he didn't lose a civil case for 30 years. So
Wow.
it's a really, let me just check for how can I forget the name?
I haven't heard of this book, so it sounds very interesting. I should, and I read a lot.
Jerry Spence. Yeah.
Jerry Scripps, is it? SCRIP?
Spence.
Spins.
Yeah. And there's what else? Like, books, I think it depends on your areas of interest. What book I would have really liked. Zero to One by Peter Thiel. That was a great book.
Yeah.
Very exciting to read that. Um,
Did you use any of those? Like, do you think that helped you in building your businesses?
yeah, sure. Like it doesn't help you in building a business, but in developing the thinking, like
Hmm.
so I believe that to build a so if you want to build like a really successful startup, right, you need a theory of change. So this is what I say, that you need a theory of change. The theory of change is that where the world is headed, where do you want it to be, right? And what can you do to either accelerate it or change the direction, and what is your startup going to do towards that. And this is the theory of change, and this is very important. And zero to one is like more philosophy than just business. It's not like implementable information. It is
Hmm.
your
How to
mindset.
think?
You develop
Hmm.
your mindset. Zero to one.
Hmm.
So it's that way,
Hmm.
to understand what is important and what is not. That is
Hmm.
that is the book. So the concept of zero to one is that um, if you have something already, to replicate is not as difficult as to invent it in the first place.
Yeah.
So zero to one is like when you have zero, which is like nothing, and from there you are bringing something into existence. It's the zero to one process, and
Acha.
entrepreneurs do zero to one.
Yeah.
So so the big companies are not able to do zero to one usually.
Yeah.
If they're able to do, they can't do anything with it. So zero to one is that, like individuals, dreamers, and inventors, and they create a zero to one. So if you say that, this is a problem and I'm going to solve it and this is going to happen. Now, a lot of things, there's no manuscript for this, there's no blueprint for it, right? You just can't follow and do it, right? But okay, now let's say you have done it once, you can do one plus
Yeah.
one, 1 plus 9, all of
That's
that.
true. Yeah. You can keep mutating it. But
Correct. So creating the first course and
hmm.
making sure the first student gets a job or actually learns is zero to one, because you don't know
Hmm.
how to do it for the first time you're doing it.
Hmm.
So doing it 100, done it 100 times, doing it 1,000 times is just scaling.
Yeah.
That's 1 to 10 or 1 to 100 or 1 to 1,000,000. But zero to one is a very hard thing to do. So that
Hmm.
book is about that, zero to one.
Hmm.
And
Final fourth one.
fourth one, okay. So I read this book, I really liked. It's recently, it's very practical. There is nothing, but I would suggest it because if you have law students and lawyers listening to it, they can really implement it immediately. That is Cold Email Manifesto by Alex Berman. I
Oh,
really,
okay. Wow.
so it's a very small book, short, but very practical. Everything you learn there, you can immediately implement and start
Yeah.
earning more, get more clients. Highly recommend.
Cold email manifest. Even I need it. All of us need it. So,
Mhm.
by who is that, Alex?
Alex Berman.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, three tips you'd like to give current law students or young graduates. Three tips.
Okay, so one thing that I see a lot of them find struggling with is that, okay, what is going to be my area of expertise? Now, most probably there is no one magic area of expertise for you that you are meant for that one thing. But most people waste a lot of trying and effort trying to find this magical niche for themselves. Don't do that. So what you should do is just take something which is very fascinating for you and jump deep into it and do a lot. Like, go deeper and deeper into it as soon as possible. Don't listen to anybody who says don't specialize early in your career. All that is stupid. Just focus massively into something, because that's the only way you can stand out and get work in a world where more senior lawyers obviously have an advantage over you, right? So if you want to get work and you want to earn well and you want to get some quick results, you should deeply focus in a niche and build expertise in it as soon as possible. And so that is one thing. The second thing is that even if you are not liking something, just move on. Try the next fascinating thing. It can happen sometime. You thought, okay, IP law is going to be my life. I love this thing and all. You enjoyed studying it. Then you went to work and you realized, oh my, I'm like bored to death in my life doing this. I don't want to do it. Feel free to move out of that. Do another thing. Again, into it and figure it out. But feel free to shift. And by everything you have done once, learned, everything will be useful later on also. Nothing will be wasted. None of the skills, knowledge will be wasted. It will be used somewhere else in some other way, which you can't see right now. Just go into the next thing that fascinates you and keep doing this until you find something, but don't do it like, I have done it for 2 months, I didn't like it. Like, it has to be like at least a couple of years or something that you have given to it.
Yeah, give it enough time. Yeah.
Real expertise, and then
Yeah.
you like it. That's all.
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to like it in the beginning. Like, you have no expertise, you have no abilities. You're not supposed to like it. It is supposed to be tough. But
Yeah, of
if
course.
you learn it, only then you know whether you're doing the real work. Then you figure out. So that's another thing. What else? Like, and also don't hesitate to add skills which are completely outside law. Everything will be useful. And there's a whole cult there are three cults in the legal profession which are very dangerous for young lawyers. One is the cult of doom, is that lawyers have no opportunities, the profession is, if you are from first generation lawyer, you won't survive. You can't get more money from litigation in the first 5 years. You have to just do this. You can't get a job in a law firm if you're not from this kind. There are like hundreds of those. You can't do this, you can't do that. It's not possible in all of that, right? And it's not just one person saying it. You see like everybody, so many people saying it, believing in it, living it, breathing it, that it reality for you. It's a cult of doom. Okay, so you have to stay away from this, get out of it, don't get caught up in it. Second, there's like this lionization of certain kind of lawyers, that okay, this is it, this is how what everyone is supposed to be doing. It's not true. The fact is that what worked 20 years back for somebody to become a senior advocate doesn't work today at all. Never is going to work. The profession is changing very fast. The realities are changing very fast. It's a market driven profession, right? All those heroism about doesn't work. That you just study, you just read one case law a day. All this nonsense is not going to work, right? You have to be finding problems and you have to deliver solutions like any other professional, but more even so, you have to solve people's problems. If you effectively solve even one kind of problem, you are going to make money. You don't have to be a ocean of knowledge. So like, literally, I had students come up to me and say that seniors have told me you have to be an ocean of knowledge before you can make money. And it's the most stupid thing. You don't have to be. Okay, you don't
You're
have.
not expected to be there. Why would you be expected to be an ocean of knowledge? That's
If you
nonsense.
become ocean of knowledge, then you'll be earning a lot of money. This is what people
No, but
believe.
that's stupid. No, I mean, see, that's another reason why I started the podcast, because people would say, I used to tell people, if you have a ear pain and you have a 5-year-old in the house, now my children are older than that, but when my daughter was 5, and I'll tell my daughter, I am going to the dentist because my ear is paining, my 5-year-old child or any 5-year-old in your house will say, no, you're going to the wrong doctor. because a dentist will not take care of your ear pain. But with an LLB degree, we are supposed to advise on everything from maritime to matrimonial to mergers to cooperative housing societies and everything in between. And if we say, no, this is not my area of specialization, they'll be like, ah, आपको पता नहीं है, यही problem है lawyers का. No, this is ridiculous. So this ocean of knowledge concept falls in the same ridiculous category.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I have a student who basically earns about $5,000 to $10,000 a month just by doing notices and reply to notices for clients he had clients from some 80-90 countries on all Amazon and other e-commerce platforms. That's all he does.
Wow.
Trademark, copyright notices, right? So day in and day out, he was a criminal lawyer from Agra. Okay. And he did a course and he didn't even finish the course. He just learned one part of it and he got this work on whatever platforms and started doing it. And now he has like probably almost he has like hundreds of D2C companies which are his
Wow,
clients.
that's amazing.
And he just gives just notice and reply to notice and reply to notice, trademark, copyright violation, DMCA. That's it.
That's amazing. But just think of the depth of knowledge in that one particular area, right?
Exactly.
You have like now the notices come, you literally know exactly how things are going to pan out. It's very valuable experience. So much more valuable than someone, okay, I can't get over the ocean of knowledge thing, I better stop. Because if somebody is like, they'll probably not listen to me ever again then. Okay.
So basically this is another cult, right? That you have
Yeah.
to be like a senior advocate. They can take any matter and argue before Supreme Court. They don't specialize. Why do you specialize? So they're like, you have to become like the next senior advocate before the Supreme Court, and that's what you must change, right? Now everything else is nonsense. So that is there. Then the third cult is is what you are just saying, there's a huge cult of, you have to just put your head down and do the same thing that everybody else is doing, and eventually you'll succeed, right? And don't try other things, don't try new things, and don't even think of learning something which other lawyers are not learning, right?
Yeah.
Why do you have to learn blogging? Why do you have I had so like 10 years back, not anymore, like we had this thing in our courses that you have to blog. And every second month there will be a senior person who will be doing our course for some reason, and then she'll be like, why will I publish blog on the internet? Why will I have to do this? Why will I have to write LinkedIn posts? This is stupid. You think I'll get clients from the internet? This is stupid, right? Like that. I'm like, you're building your profile. This is important. This is the future. And they'll be fighting with us. No, you guys are all idiots. You are doing stupid things. This is against Bar Council of India's practice. Where did you even get this that you can't? But anyway, so by the way, some of our students have gone on to become influencers, build massive followings.
Is
Online.
it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, one of them, Amish Agarwala,
Acha, oh yeah.
he was our student. And there are many examples, and like there are some of them we have pushed that please start vlogging, please start blogging, please start making YouTube videos, or got them on our YouTube channel first and then they started doing it. It's very interesting, and this has been happening, and like it's very satisfying to see what we told people 10 years back now.
Yeah, the fruits of that. Yeah, of course.
Now it has become to a point that it is hard to get into new niches. Like you can't even, like, there are certain niches in content creation are taken. Like there are
Yeah, I know.
too many people,
Yeah.
and you
It's
can't.
saturated. Yeah.
You have to do other new things. You're telling people don't do the same thing, do something new.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
know. That's that part for the course, right? When it comes to anything with digital, it's just like adoption is very quick. Two life lessons that you have learned so far that you would like to share with everyone.
Life lessons. So, a lot of life lessons, full of lessons. But I think major lesson is that health is very important. I think there was a time when I thought health will take care of your itself. Just keep working and like focus on like
Yeah.
take health second. But now I don't look at it that way. I think, and also that part of that is that you are in charge of your health, not your doctor, right? If you outsource your health to your doctor, then you deserve the horror that you're going to get.
Okay.
So you have to educate yourself about your own
Yeah.
health and everything, and everything is available today. You can't. It's like somebody comes and tells you that you are the lawyer and only you can understand your case. That person is okay, but that person is probably not going to get the best results or the
Yeah.
best outcome or whatever. And now imagine there are people, actually some very good people. They study their own case. They know stuff about it. So many founders I meet, right? They know every regulation that applies to their industry. Fintech founders, amazing.
Yeah,
They know.
fintech founders are really because it's a very highly regulated industry, yeah,
Right.
Ramanuj.
So exactly. So they know their stuff, and that's why they are where they are. And
Yeah.
why can't you figure out your health? You must, like, you must spend enough time and
Yes.
effort learning about your own health and how to have it in high performance, and not just worry about sickness, but more than that, how to be in good performance. So that is one thing I feel. Second lesson would be that if you think the people who can help you, probably they cannot help you. And you can help yourself much more. So all the people who think, oh, just if I got in touch with that person and if only that person blessed me, or only if that person would be in my side, I would do so much. Not going to happen. This is all fantasy, right? So just be in your own corner and believe that you have to do it. Somebody else is not going to do it for you. You have to do it. So might as well get started.
Yeah. And final question, what is the best advice that you have received?
What is the best advice that I've received? Tough one. So one of the best advice my coach helped me to do this is uh, to learn to focus, right? Like if you may have many different things to do, but
Mm.
to write them down
Mm.
and set clear goals and pursuing them consistently and reviewing them every week. Having a coach, I would say, let's say best advice would be to have a coach. Have a good
I
coach.
know that you have, I read somewhere you have a business coach, you have a mindset coach, and you have two more other coaches.
Sure, yeah, I have a lot
I
of
don't know
coaches.
what is a health coach and a fourth one.
I
I
have a
have a
health
business
coach.
coach as
I have a coach for my workouts,
Hmm.
personal coach. Then I have a coach for, yes, mindset, and I have a coach for
Your business.
yes, yeah,
So
both
let me
of
just say thank you,
them.
Ramanuj, for being on the podcast. It was a really interesting episode, and you had amazing things to say. Actually, you've given me a lot of things to think about. So I think we have to have you back on the podcast.
Okay.
So, but thank you so much for being so generous with your time.